2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Hotline. If you are obsessive compulsive, press 1 repeatedly. If you are codependent, ask someone to press 2 for you. If you have multiple personalities, press 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you are paranoid, we know what you are and what you want. Stay on the line and we'll trace your call. If you're delusional, press 7 and your call will be transferred to the mothership. If you are schizophrenic, listen carefully and a small voice will tell you which number to press. If you are depressive, it doesn't matter which number you press, no one will answer you. If you are dyslexic, press 69696969. If you have a nervous disorder, please fidget with the hash key until the beep. After the beep, please wait for the beep. If you have a short-term memory loss, please try your call again later. And if you have low self-esteem, hang up. All our operators are too busy to talk to you.
Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to another episode of Busting Fear. We want to give a shout out to Gary and Sue. There's been some colds and whatnot going around here in the studio, so we thought it would be better for Gary and Sue probably not to be here because Gary is still attending to his health, and Sue, of course, is taking care of him, and we hope to see them possibly next week. And they just want to say how much they thank everyone for all your support. And Gary and Sue, if you're watching tonight, just call 360-693-7544, 360-693-7544. This is a live internet show. We have the phone right here. We will talk to you. And then tonight, I thought I would talk about some metaphors in movies to help us shift our perception to understand that our divine source or God source or whatever source you think is beyond here is getting messages through to us almost constantly. It's just a matter of picking those messages up. Also, next week, Dixie is going to bring R.J. Anthony back again and interview him. And what is the name of his book?
Memoirs of My Lives.
That's right. And he has memories of about 9 past lives.
Yes, or maybe it's 8. Oh, maybe it's 11. I can't remember.
We will get that clarified next week, okay? Okay, so in a minute, I'm also going to explain the graphic here. There's a little bit of interesting story about how we came up with this. And I just want to remind you, this is a live internet show. Please call in 360-693-7544, 360-693-7544. You can also watch this on fvtv11.org right now. It is live. Or on YouTube, youtube.com, of course, and then you type in FVTV stream. I typed it in today, all one word. Oh, and I want to remind you that RJ's show right now has about 186 views from the FETV stream and from the FETV11.org. I didn't check Molon Lobby News, but I think that's quite significant. That says that he was a popular guest, and so we need to have him back. So I'm going to just step over here to the graphic that we created and do a little bit of explaining. So our show, this background here is, of course, the colors. It's the black and green of the movie from The Matrix. And the reason I put that in there is because The Matrix is such an iconic event. It's such a mind-altering experience. I remember when I watched it the first time, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I've watched that movie probably 9 times now, and each time I watched it, it had a whole nother level of meaning because it is just rich with metaphor. It is pure metaphor, and as my understanding grew of metaphors, the movie made more and more sense to me. And then right here, when we were trying to come up with a name, we actually were at first going to call it Beyond the Fear. Well, the general manager here, Mike, said you need to get a Facebook and you need to get a Twitter and all that. I couldn't get Beyond Fear, so I had to make an executive decision. I couldn't consult with Sue or Dixie. I said, so I tried Busting Fear. So Busting Fear was available on Twitter, on Facebook. The website was available. Sorry, folks, we don't have anything up yet on Busting Fear. So right now I'm loading information up on my DivineDominoes.com website that I've had for, I don't know, 8 or so years. And there's some very awakening issues there to look at and hopefully help you get a little bit larger vision of more than just your everyday experience. So what we are endeavoring to do is to move through the matrix of fear that has been created by, and it just has come to my awareness, and I know I'm pushing this, but by psychopathic systems. I mean, they're out there, they're created by psychopathic individuals, and they've created this fear of matrix, and they've locked people into that. And so what we want to do is we're going to be weaving a new matrix. We do not have to accept that matrix of fear. So we are weaving a new matrix beyond the fear. Now this picture here, of course, is on the Sistine Chapel, painted by Michaelangelo, who was a sculptor. And this, when I've seen this picture, I've always looked at this and thought of that being Michelangelo himself. But from Michelangelo's perspective, this is Adam. But to my perspective, it's Michelangelo, and I'll tell you why. And then, of course, we have the God figure, and the God figure is in the shape of a brain, and I believe these things are like representative, even though their legs are representative of the brainstem. Now, I got to thinking about this because right here, the most important part of this whole image is right here, is the fingers, and why? Is Michelangelo created the brain as a representation of the mind. The mind it doesn't hang out in the brain, but the mind is how we move through our experience. But we need the brain to have the mind. And when I first saw this, I thought the imagery was like this. It's not. It's Adam or Michelangelo going down, and then this God figure reaching across to touch. So if you think about the way those go, that creates a warp and a woof of fabric. That creates a matrix. See? So that's why this is weaving a new matrix. The divine is always, or God, or whoever you want to call him, Buddha, Shiva, it doesn't matter. He is always sending us information to touch our mind. And of course, this is Earth, and then this is, and notice that this representation of God isn't up here. It's here. It's almost on the level with this Adam or Michelangelo character. It's not that much above, is it? So this is another metaphor of shifting your perception up just a little bit, and the message will get through. For instance, a great movie metaphor, of course, is the Harry Potter series. And Harry Potter was given a task that he was totally unprepared for. He had no information. He went into this basically uninformed and blind. And so he took on this challenge. And then he had supporting characters step up to help him, and he didn't ask for help. They just stepped up to help him. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Hasn't the divine done that? You've had challenges in your life.
Yes.
You don't know what to do.
Yes.
And somehow you knew the divine source was getting through to help you.
That's right.
Do you have any specific thing you can think of to share?
Yes, actually. It may seem like a strange experience, but I was actually broadsided by a car back in 2011 and taken to the hospital. And the ER doctor, after a few hours and many tests, came to me and said, well, you're battered and bruised, but no broken bones. But I suggest that you see a gynecologist ASAP because you have cysts on your ovaries. Now, what I feel is that car accident was meant to to happen to give me the information, because cysts on the ovaries can be what they call silent killers, because they can become cancerous and you don't even know it. So it is, I think the car accident was my way. It was a message to me to take care of something that I was absolutely not aware of. And so we are taken care of. We just don't always understand how or why.
This is so true. I want to go back to the Harry Potter movies. Now, of course, he was fighting. Well, he wasn't fighting, but Voldemort was fighting Harry Potter and wanted to destroy him and kill him. And Harry Potter was innocent. He hadn't done anything to this Voldemort character. But this Voldemort character had invented this theory in his mind. And of course, there was some prophecy, but it could have been applicable to Neville Longbottom and not Harry Potter, because their situation or births or something was similar. So anyway, Voldemort had no power, but he had minions. Now think about that. He had all these people that wore these dark masks and that would carry out his agenda. But he really had no power if he didn't have those minions. So here we have a psychopath who has minions to support his agenda. They wanted to be like him, but they couldn't because it wasn't in their nature. But something about the darkness attracted them to that kind of power. So here you have Harry Potter, and he has his friend Hermione and his friend Ron show up to help him. And then, of course, he has the support of Dumbledore. And then, of course, the other teacher, Mrs. McGonagall. And it's interesting that a lot of times in life we are confronted with a situation and we don't know what is going on. And then all of a sudden, somehow we move through it. We figure things out. Things are brought to us. And so I suspect that people who make these kinds of hero movies, like the Avengers, like Iron Man, like Thor, let's see, who else did I mention? Of course, The Matrix. Dark City. Dark City. Oh, beautiful, beautiful movie. For explaining this sleep state that we're in and unaware of what is truly going on around us. And once you begin to wake up to these psychopathic systems, you don't have to fight them. You don't have to challenge them. All you have to do is walk away. Just don't give them support. And see, all those minions around Voldemort could have walked away. He wouldn't have had any power if they had just walked away.
True.
So there was something inside of them that appealed to the darkness that Voldemort was manifesting. Did you watch the Harry Potter movies at all?
No.
No! Oh my gosh. I've watched them, 10 times. I've read the book twice. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
But I did watch Dances with Wolves.
Okay. Was that about 20 years old now?
Yes, I think at least, yes.
Well, I think Dances with Wolves was very good in displaying the Native Americans as humans and not savages and not beasts, and how they they knew how to work and flow with the earth. And you brought up earlier when we were in the car, the Avatar movies.
Yes.
The Avatar movie was about that society being in harmony with their planet and not being destructive like we are.
Yeah.
There's something in us that doesn't understand or doesn't want to be nice or in harmony. It's like the news has always got to tell you about the bad stuff. Yes. How boring would the news be if there wasn't any good thing to talk about? Once again, the phone number is 360-693-7544. 360-693-7544. The website is fvtv11.org or on YouTube, FVTV Stream.
Also with Avatar, that movie made a very strong statement that there are other beings on other planets in our galaxy. And I think that people need to be aware of that so that we realize, well, from my perspective, we would be very arrogant to think that we are the only beings in a whole galaxy of 1 billion stars, not to mention planets, trillions of planets. So anyway, I just think that Avatar was a great movie for expressing that very important statement.
Yes, and those stars have their own galaxies around them. You know, it's just that the telescopes pick them out as stars because of the distance the light has to travel. But they're likely their own galaxies with their own planets that sort of thing.
Okay, if we're talking the Milky Way galaxy, which we are in,
Yes.
my understanding is there's 1 billion stars in our one galaxy.
And how many galaxies are we? Yeah.
I've heard astrophysicists say billions of other galaxies.
Yes.
So it's like innumerable. And we need to be aware that we can't be the only beings in one huge, just in one galaxy. And then you think about all the stars. You know, our star, our sun is a star in our galaxy. And if you take 1 billion stars in our one galaxy, and then all the planets, we have like 8 planets and maybe more. And it would still be arrogant of us to not believe that there are other beings out there. So,
Well,
Avatar was a good statement.
I did listen to a lecture the other day on YouTube. It was very eye-opening about what could possibly be going on here. And he says there's 82 different creatures, beings already here, but we don't see them.
Oh, other dimensions?
82 other dimensions. They have ability to disguise or more for that sort of thing. Or they're integrated and they act like humans, but they're not humans. And it's a very interesting phenomena. Well, the reason we want to move into these discussions is because we want you to know that you can be set free from fear. And we need to step out of this fear matrix about doing all these different things. So I know I've been kind of hitting it hard on the vaccinations, and I had this interesting thought the other day. Would Jesus, Buddha, Shiva, even Muhammad tell you to put toxins into your body? Do you think you would, Dixie?
Of course not.
So there you go. Give you some religious grounds. Now there's a practice called Fearless Forgiveness. And anything that brings fear or angst to the mind needs forgiveness. And I just happened to have my lesson today, and I read this, and I said, oh my gosh, I have to share this today. So, turn on the flashlight here. Forgiveness ends all suffering. I have to take my glasses off. Forgiveness ends all suffering and loss. Forgiveness paints a picture of a world where suffering is over, loss becomes impossible, and anger makes no sense. Attack is gone, and madness has an end. What suffering is now conceivable? What loss can be sustained? The world becomes a place of joy, abundance, charity, and endless giving. It is now so like heaven that it quickly is transformed into the light that it reflects. Also, and so the journey which we began has ended with the light from which we came.
Wow.
This is saying we can create the heaven on earth experience right now.
Yes.
And one of the methods to do that is with Ginger, I don't know what you said.
Flashlight.
Oh, the light. Oh, light interfering in the camera. Sorry, I can't see to read. Okay, so anything that brings angst to the mind that my ear thing, sorry, my ear thing got, it's live TV, folks, it's the quirk factor, it happens. Live call in, 360-693-7544, 360-693-7544. You can see the show on FETV11.org or on YouTube FETV stream. So, go ahead. I can tell you have a thought.
Well, I think of other movies. I mean, basically, I love Dances with Wolves because that came at a time we used to watch in my day as a child, the late 50s, 60s, the Cowboys against the Indians. And Dances with Wolves introduced a whole new concept of Native Americans. And I think that movies can have such a powerful impact on our belief systems. And I think that they also quite often bring spiritual messages to us. And we don't even realize it until later on when we think about it.
So Dances with Wolves actually took the fear out of interacting with the Native Americans.
Yes.
Because they were fine before the white Europeans got here.
They had a way of they didn't own land. And then Europeans said, well, we have to own land.
Yes.
And they just took care of each other. And anyway, it was a great system that they had, as indigenous peoples to this country.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that's good. So I think that Dances with Wolves was a very powerful movie.
Okay. I want to mention the movie Dark City. And it is very interesting in that the main character wakes up in the middle of this, setting him up to pretend that he has committed a murder. Now, in Dark City, there's these dark men searching for an answer, and they would set people up with different scenarios to play out, and they would observe and watch them. Well, when this guy wakes up in the middle of this event, and he tries to figure out what's going on, as he goes through his journey, he starts piecing things together. And then, of course, Kiefer Sutherland played the doctor that injected them with the new kind of life that they would lead and carry out. And they would inject it right here in some spiritual circles. This is called the third eye. Well, there are a lot of times when I see TV shows and someone tells them, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing, I'm going to... Don't tell them what you're going to do. They can counter you. So Kiefer Sutherland, as a doctor, did not tell these dark guys what he was doing. And as this Rufus Sewell played the character, as he was waking up, he injected him of what was really going on, and that gave him the power to really wake up and take control of this whole dark city and change it. And so he was able to shift the dark city so that the sunlight could shine on the people, and everybody got the benefit. But the one thing he did not do, he did not tell these dark guys where the answer was. He says, you've been looking in the wrong place. He didn't tell them where the right place was. But the Dark City is sort of a less intense movie of The Matrix. I encourage everybody to watch Dark City. It is pure metaphor. It's a beautiful movie about the darkness. The darkness is a metaphor of this matrix of fear that is attempted to keep us locked in. And I encourage everyone to step out and take control of your life. And anytime fear confronts you, forgive it. All fear, anything that brings anxiety to your mind, needs forgiveness. Do you have anything to add?
I think it's a wonderful message for people. This is, and when you watch movies, think about that there might be a message for you in the movie.
Oh, I'm going to go just a couple more minutes here. I also want to share with you, it's not just movies that the divine gets through to us. I was in the car the other day driving, and I was listening to Selena Gomez, and she was singing this song, I Love You Like a Love Song, Baby. And I thought, that's that could be a message from the divine to me.
That's
They
right.
think it's a message to someone that they love, but that's the divine's perspective to
That's
me.
right.
And then you never guess what song came on after that. Rihanna's We Found Love in a Hopeless Place. We found love in a hopeless place. I know this journey sometimes seems hopeless, but the divine can get through to us
Yes.
and show us their love. I watched yesterday, 2 days ago, I watched a special on Susan Boyle, and she was discovered on Britain's Got Talent.
Yes.
And it was her journey. And she was told that she had brain damage because lack of oxygen. Turns out she is Asperger's. She's somewhat autistic. She has anxiety and panic attacks. And so for the last 4 years, she had been working to actually do a full 90-minute concert. So she started small. The most songs that she would sing were maybe 2 songs at a time in a large venue. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching this documentary about Susan Boyle. I'm crying the whole time because it is so heartwarming to see how people are receiving her. So she has this concert in Scotland. That's her native home. It's where she lives. And she performs for about 2,000 people. Before she even starts singing, the people get up and give her a standing ovation.
Wow.
Then they show her coming to Texas. 17,000 people. And she's worked through this for a year to be able to go on stage and sing for 90 minutes. They give her a standing ovation before she even starts singing. I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's how the divine sees us.
That's true. And that's
That
the
was
message.
Yes, it was such a great metaphor to say, this is what I think of you. I am thrilled that you take this journey, you stand up, you go through the fear, and we all support you.
So true.
Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful message?
Yes.
So, and you saw something in a commercial the other day.
Yes. Well, I see several commercials now that talk about thriving, love. They focus on family, the interaction between, say, a father and daughter as he's teaching her to drive. They focus on the things that we do together and how we help each other.
Yes, yes. And I'm also reminded of the story in the Bible about the prodigal son, how the father gave, I can't remember, it was three sons, they were given their inheritance, and one goes out and loses all his money, he's eating pig slop or something, and he wakes up, but the father didn't chase him, and he spent all his inheritance, and he kind of comes to himself one day and says, I think I have to go back home. So he goes on a journey to go back home. This is a story in the Bible, folks, prodigal son. Anyway, it's a metaphor. So guess what the father does? He doesn't chase after him. He lets the son wake up. When he sees the son coming, he says, get out, start cooking the food. We're going to have a party. That's all that the divine is waiting for us. Just wake up. Wake up, and I'm going to have a party for you. Susan Boyle was such a metaphor of our hero's journey, that we have support. You may not always see it, you may not always feel it, but if you start paying attention, the divine is always trying to get little messages through to us that we are in support of your journey so that you can be your most magnificent self.
I agree.
You agree?
Wonderful.
Okay, well, I guess that's it tonight, folks, and thank you for watching, and The Underground is coming up at 9 o'clock.